A couple miles southwest of the Loop, Pilsen boasts one of Chicago's most vibrant communities. Bursting with a rich Hispanic and artistic culture, the neighborhood has grown in popularity, resulting in a gentrification trend that has affected its most loyal residents. In the last 19 years, Pilsen has seen the displacement of over 14,000 Latino locals, due largely to rising property taxes and rent. At the forefront of the battle against gentrification is newly elected alderman Byron Cicho Lopez.
The beauty of this community, the beauty of the community in Pilsen is the social fabric. And it's internationally and nationally renowned as being a thriving community, but a community that is losing its social fabric at the extent that luxury development threatens with evictions and more foreclosures of the very culture, which is the identity of the neighborhood, the murals, and all of this gets commodified by the same developers.
So there's an argument that the art is pro-gentrification because it raises the property value. I would also argue that we don't want to look at blighted areas of brown and gray, buff paint, and it's nicer to have color. And if we can figure out a happy medium where we can keep the residents in the neighborhood while also having beautiful art, I want to find that. And I'm trying to do that.
The problem that a lot of people who have come here, mostly the ones who have bought buildings, they have remodeled real beautiful and everything, the rent has been like triple. So most of our people, they couldn't afford it. They couldn't afford a $2,000 apartment. So it's a shame that they've been forced to live. They're not living on their own. They have to go and look for something cheaper.
In the 25th ward, our taxes are just under downtown taxes. We're the top 5 in the percentage increase of property taxes throughout the city.
Back then, in the 70s, these buildings used to cost like $30,000, $40,000. So a lot of people who used to work like in factories, they were able to have 3-4 buildings because they were very cheap. And nowadays, even buildings that are pretty bad damaged inside, they're expensive. So when they come over, they're thirsty. The fire is
Isabel Hernandez, a resident of Pilsen for almost 40 years, built an altar in October for Dia de los Muertos to honor her ancestors and friends who have passed on, as well as her culture and changing community.
I saw it in Mexico. They do it some outside of the city, and because also the museum that is being closed and people go there to find about the altars, what the meaning and all this stuff. So I decided to do it and to share my culture with other people. They don't know about the altars, what is the meaning of the things they put in. Well, I just hope that even though a lot of people have been moving out, but with the new people coming in, that our traditions don't die and we can keep them. We can keep them all the things that we do, like Dia de Muertos, the Mexican celebrations, or Cinco de Mayo, all the stuff. Because it's sad. It would be sad if by changing the neighborhood that all those things have been lost.
A common belief is that gentrification will provide a safer community. However, some argue that the two trends do not correlate.
20 years ago, 2030, when they found out you live in Pilsen, you live there with a lot of gangs and you're not afraid, and now, oh, you live in Pilsen.
Gentrification doesn't address public safety. That's That's a narrative that is pervasive across the country and is a false narrative. We've seen, for instance, parts of Pilsen where we have, on the west part in particular, where we have, of course, an increase in the shootings. That's across the city, but we have other parts of the city where we can also have seen the huge effects of violence, because now we have displacement and unfortunately less resources for violence prevention programs and real investment in public safety.
It's a really delicate subject, and no one really knows how it goes, because at least I do see the goodness where people feel a little safer, they're walking around, but I don't like to say that, do we need gentrification to feel safer? No, absolutely, but then I do see, you see all these empty stores here now. I know some of it has to do with pandemic, but believe it or not, this has been the case for the past couple of years. There was already businesses that were closing down because rent was already getting too high, or the landlord was a developer or property management sold to a big developer and they wanted to build condos, which raises taxes, which raises all this stuff. And then you have your working families that that could not afford it. So they have to move out.
But Pilsen won't go down without a fight. Sigcho Lopez and his constituents have looked to pursue community-centered solutions to challenge gentrification's effects on the neighborhood.
So we have a local zoning advisory board that has helped us oversee that, a mandate of developers to create covenants where we create a more affordable housing. So far, we have created over 80 units of affordable housing through these practices.
In the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, the push for affordable housing has only become more urgent. In the past few weeks, the alderman has voiced support on Twitter for the Rental Assistance Program Act, a federally funded program that would establish guidelines for emergency rental assistance, extend the moratorium on eviction notices, and prioritize emergency assistance applicants over others.
Henry Ramirez of Zerai Imports advocates for education. He believes the most sustainable solution will come through learning about the intricacies of property ownership rights and laws.
Educating the community. A lot of these families are immigrants, just like my parents were. They don't know the ins and outs of here. I just feel like if there was workshops or seminars or workshops for families to go or homeowners to attend, and in the native languages, whether it be in Spanish or whether it be in Polish or whether it be whoever, so that way they can really understand what it is that they need to do or how they can defend themselves, because that's where it comes down to.
Chicago lawmakers introduced the Pilsen and Little Village Preservation Strategy, which proposes a designated landmark district to preserve a portion of Pilsen's unique architecture and existing housing stock. Making Pilsen a landmark district, however, has been met with a strong reaction from the area's residents.
There's so many rules, so many things that you have to abide by. Your regular homeowner can just, hey, I need to fix something. Well, now you have to go through a process if that landmark goes through. And many times they're expensive. Many times your regular homeowner, especially in this area, may not be able to afford that. You're painting it all nice, bright, and dandy, but it really isn't. It's kind of another way of getting people that can't afford it to give up their place and give it to someone who can.
I support the homeowners. 95% have said no. I have agreed, and we hope to introduce a demolition freeze ordinance in December 1st and move towards a better plan when we talk about property tax relief.
No, would basically say that we're not supporting the landmark, and if you vote yes, you're voting to support the landmark ordinance. It's all pretty clear, right? Alderman Hopkins.
No.
Alderman Doyle.
No.
Alderman Sawyer.
No.
Alderman Sigcho Lopez.
No.
No.
No. No.
No.
No.
No. No.
No.
No.
No.
No.
No.
And Chairman Tunney votes no. 18 noes and 0 yays. The nays have it. Item has failed to pass.
Common ground is that we have all been immigrants. We have all now come here to a neighborhood that has been the port of entry, that has welcomed families of different ethnic backgrounds.